Throughout history, acid has been used as a weapon. Despite its low cost, its corrosive properties can devastate a person's life, leaving both physical and emotional scars, which may last a lifetime. Muskan Khatun has survived an acid attack in Nepal. She is just 14 years old. Covered with a long patterned headscarf, the skin around her neck, right cheek and up to her ear bears the deep acid burn scars. The corrosive nature of the acid has left indelible injuries on this young woman's body. On November the 25th, 2019, Muskan left home for school just like any other day. On her way, two teenage boys approached her with a container of liquid and urged her to take a drink. These boys had been harassing Muskan for some time, and she had told her father about their behavior. Filled with anger, Muskan's father understandably confronted the boys. Later that morning, the boys had returned and forced Muskan to drink the liquid from the container. Muskan tried to refuse, but they suddenly threw that corrosive liquid in her face. The acid attack has affected both her body and soul and penetrated deep into the hearts of her parents. Muskan's mother tells us that her daughter sometimes worries about her appearance. She encourages her child by urging her to study hard, emphasizing that in the end, people will remember her for her abilities, not her appearance or scars. Muskan's father recalls the time when she was in hospital. He remembers hearing her crying out in pain. Muskan spent 3 months in the hospital, and on the day we met, she had just been discharged. The recent attack was particularly cruel for a 14-year-old girl, indeed for anyone. Her sole spiritual anchor is found in books. The book in her hands is the autobiography of Malala Yousafzai, a girl from Pakistan who survived a near-fatal attack by the Taliban and has risen up to advocate for girls' education. Malala's story inspires Muskan to keep working towards her childhood dream of becoming a doctor. The pain inflicted by the acid intensifies her conviction that she is destined to help others. She repeatedly reads these English books about skin, muscles, bones, which she's able to memorize by heart. The unwavering determination during the darkest of times leaves us in awe of this young girl's resilience. Muskan says that when she was in the hospital, she met other patients suffering from acid burns. She became aware that there were very few doctors at the hospital, and they had very little time to dedicate to each patient. The doctors had to keep track of the time and treated patients in a rush. It made her want to become a doctor and spend more time with patients. This petite lady's strength comes from the love of her family. Muskan's father decided to leave his job, relocating his family to the capital city in search of the best medical care for her. Treating a victim of an acid attack is a lengthy process. In some cases, continuous surgeries must be performed for over half of one's life. The duration of treatment is almost as long as the legal proceedings against the perpetrators. Muskan's father tells us about the flaws and loopholes within the justice system. The two people who attacked Muskan were 19 and 20 years old at the time, but their families falsified their documents to portray them as merely 12 and 13. This was done to divert the case to juvenile court, where they would be held in a juvenile detention center instead of a prison. Muskan's father tells us that despite obtaining new evidence, those in power have not taken any action. Only a few politicians have even attempted to discuss this matter in Parliament. While the case remains unresolved and the ultimate fate of the perpetrators is uncertain, this young girl can't live in the past. She's still young, and life must go on. For Muskan, the one thing that she will not allow the two boys who harmed her to do is to prevent her from returning to school and living her life as she did before the attack. This, however, will not be easy, considering the enduring pain searing through her body, which may well persist for the rest of her life. Jenny Khadka, a 20-year-old Nepalese woman, walks confidently wearing modern work attire. She has a stylish short haircut and wears makeup. Underneath her white turtleneck, the acid scar, running from the lower part of her left cheek to the neck, is just visible. She was attacked with acid by her former husband out of jealousy. With her husband being her assailant, she has had to start an entirely new life. Judgmental or possibly inquisitive stares persist, however, making her nervous when she steps outside. She hesitates to reveal the scars on her face, yet slowly she begins to acclimate to those gazes. Jenny decided to leave her previous job and now works for an organization dedicated to victims of burn-related incidents. Nepal has a relatively high incidence of acid attacks against women, primarily due to the ready availability of the chemical and the continued oppression faced by women. Jenny's mission is to disseminate knowledge as a shield to protect others. Her scarred hands tap on the keyboard, spreading awareness about women's rights and the brutality of acid attacks. Perpetrators commonly target the victim's face. In a spontaneous act of self-defense, the hands become the protective barrier victims instinctively use in an attempt to shield their faces from harm. For Jenny, her hands had protected part of her face from the acid, and now she uses them to communicate and protect others.
Of course, I like this job because it's
Jenny tells us that she loves this job and has discovered that there are not just victims of acid attacks, but also people who are harmed by being set on fire. She says that she's very happy to do this job, to help those who've been harmed just like herself. The most effective method of psychological healing for victims of acid attacks is to return to the outside world, to school and work, rather than isolating and avoiding society. It's not an easy journey, though, as they must overcome internal fear. Acceptance is what will fill their hearts. Society itself must also change its attitude towards them. Jenny says that before she became the victim of an acid attack, she could go out and hang out with friends anywhere she pleased. Now, she can't. She's all too aware that people stare and watch her every move, making her uncomfortable and reluctant to venture outside anymore.
And not only like educating survivors and building the confidence, but we have to educate people from the grassroots level. We have to change their mindset, but it will take time. But if proper education and proper awareness is given, I think it will change.
Late afternoon in the city of Kathmandu, Nepal's capital city. Jenny walks into a coffee shop, accompanied by a trendy-looking young woman wearing a denim jacket and a black beanie, with a mask covering half of her face. Her name is Sangeeta Meghar, and she is also the victim of an acid attack in Nepal back in 2015. After Jenny had experienced an attack similar to Sangeeta's, they became each other's inspiration and close friends. With Jenny, Sangeeta feels comfortable enough to take off her mask. They've created their small world in which they feel safe, free to smile and laugh without any barriers between them. Jenny explains that she has to encourage herself by saying, "We're still normal, we can still live our lives as usual, we can still smile and laugh." She believes that doing so will help her pass through negative feelings more quickly. The scars from the acid on Sangeeta's face, along with her smiles and laughter, indicate that she drew on tremendous strength to navigate through those terrible nights. What is more, is that she has passed on that strength to Jenny. The acid destroyed Sangeeta's skin and nose, requiring her to wear a small tube in one of her nostrils to help her breathe. In 2015, Sangeeta became the victim of a conflict between her older brother and his friends. When those friends turned into enemies, acid became their weapon of choice. It wasn't directed at her brother, however, but at her. Sangeeta tells us that she lived with depression for 3 years. During that time, she didn't dare to meet anyone. She kept her face and hands covered whenever she went out. She had to wear sunglasses to hide her face all the time. After 3 years of that hell, though, she decided that she had to do something. In addition to being a source of inspiration, encouraging Jenny to rise again, Sangeeta has done something even more monumental. Though she's not the first acid attack victim in Nepal, she is the first to rise up and confront the injustice in the legal system. She fought and advocated until Nepal enacted laws to penalize individuals who use acid to attack others, an offense previously not even specified in the legal system. The law now mandates a prison sentence of 5 to 10 years for individuals convicted of committing acid attacks. Yet Sangeeta perceives the prescribed punishment as insufficient when compared to the profound pain and suffering endured by survivors like herself. She believes that a 5 to 10 year prison term is wholly inadequate for those who ruin someone's entire life. She will carry the scars on her body into old age, visible to anyone wherever she goes, while those who commit these horrific crimes eventually return to living their normal lives after release from prison. These people don't carry any scars that indicate that they once destroyed someone's life. The law should not only provide punishment, but also act as a shield to prevent the recurrence of violence. When advocating at higher levels, however, it's akin to climbing a steep mountain and requires stamina, resilience, and time. What Sangeeta and Jenny can do now is offer support to those facing cruelty while educating society to prevent anyone else from experiencing such horrors again. In the weak political system of Nepal, they are the smallest faction capable of creating change. They are directly impacted, but lack the authority to get their voices heard. Nevertheless, today their solidarity, smiles, and shared laughter resonate among the people. The scars on their bodies cannot strip them of their self-respect, and it is the loudest call for justice.
If you want to see more great content from all over the world, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon. Thank you.
Nepal is one of the world's poorest nations. Despite transitioning to democracy in 2008, after a constitutional monarchy that lasted over 2 decades and enduring a decade-long civil war, the country's infrastructure has been left in disrepair. This has resulted in a governance and legal system that is feeble and lax. Since 2010, data collected through media monitoring at BVS Nepal reveals an average of 40 acid attack cases per year. Apart from inadequate punitive measures, Nepal lacks legislation or regulatory measures controlling the sale of acid to the general public. Acid has become a most affordable yet profoundly destructive weapon, causing devastating harm to people. The prevalence of acid attacks is notable on the Asian subcontinent. including in countries such as India, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Nepal, with an alarming upward trend. Common motives include rejection of marriage proposals, dowry disputes and domestic violence. The overwhelming majority of victims, however, are women. In 2002, Bangladesh became the first country to enact legislation prohibiting bail for and imposing severe penalties on those who commit acid attacks. These stringent measures extend to the implementation of strict controls on the sale of acid to the general public. Consequently, the number of acid attacks in Bangladesh has steadily decreased. The situation in Nepal is different, though. Acquiring acid here is relatively easy, partly due to the absence of comprehensive regulations at the policy level. Even at the individual level, sellers are not especially concerned, and the buyer's intentions for purchasing acid are often overlooked. The owner of an electrical appliance store tells us that the government has never provided any information about acid attacks. They can still sell any quantity of any type of acid anywhere in Nepal. He mentioned that while obtaining certain highly corrosive acids may be challenging, there are no laws enforced to control their sale. The intention of those who use acid to harm others is not to take lives, but to inflict enduring physical and psychological torment. Actions that take mere seconds can alter the course of someone's entire life. This morning, Jenny comes to meet Muskan, the young woman we met previously. Jenny, who has begun to heal both physically and emotionally, is now ready to offer counsel to Muskan. The mental and physical well-beings of people are interconnected. When their scars are treated appropriately, their mental condition consequently improves. Nonetheless, the harsh reality for acid attack survivors is that the process of scar revision surgery is both time-consuming and costly. This financial burden is one that Muskan's family is unsure they can bear. Currently, the focus is on nurturing Muskan's mental health, helping her come to terms with what has happened, to prevent it from unduly overshadowing her future. The strength of Jenny is passed on to Muskan, just as the strength of Sangeeta was once passed on to her. There is a beautiful bond between them, yet their horrific experiences are those through which no one should ever have to go. For Jenny, a young woman who once cherished beauty, today's reality has led her to redefine the meaning of it. She learns that beauty is now the attitude she holds, and her will to help others. As for Muskan, we don't know if she will ultimately become the doctor she aspires to be. Her dreams may evolve along the way. Her unwavering commitment to her goal during the toughest times does, however, lead us to believe that she will grow into a truly courageous woman, fearlessly overcoming obstacles. Muskan repeats that she has wanted to be a doctor since she was a child, and now her desire to do so has only intensified. She says that her father and uncle always tell her that she should never lose to the two cowards who attacked her. She has to show them that they cannot and will not destroy her. She shouldn't confine herself to her room. She really has to go back to school. On the day she did, she felt no embarrassment. What matters isn't her face, but her heart. Jenny tells us that she wants to convey to all acid attack survivors that they must keep smiling and push through. Smile to themselves and even to those who have harmed them, to show that the attackers cannot affect them and will not have any power over them. After the incident, Jenny feels and believes that she is special. Being different from others is the best thing, in her opinion. The ownership we cherish most is not over external objects, but the deep connection we have with our own physicality, our faces, bodies and skin, forming the foundation of our self-awareness and place in the world. Those inflicting harm seek to destroy this, to imprison the victims within the cage of psychological and physical torment. Stringent laws and penalties can potentially prevent anyone from being ensnared in this brutality in the future. Acid can destroy flesh, but it cannot conquer the human spirit. Survivors of trauma, whether due to violence, abuse, or illness, deserve to be embraced and celebrated for their resilience.